Imagine a massive passenger jet, a Boeing 777, flying for 6 hours in total silence. The pilot is awake. The engines are humming perfectly. But in the cabin behind him, 239 people are already dead or unconscious. This wasn't an accident. MH370 didn't just fall from the sky. It was flown deliberately and coldly into the darkest corner of the earth, a place where no one would ever find it. This is the story of the evidence that changes everything we thought we knew about the world's greatest aviation mystery. March 8, 2014. The flight began like any other. Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 was scheduled for a routine red-eye journey from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. The plane, full of families, business travelers, and tourists, took off just after midnight. At 1:19 a.m., as the plane was about to leave Malaysian airspace and enter Vietnamese control, the pilot, Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, radioed his final, now infamous words, "Good night, Malaysian 370. They were calm, professional, and completely ordinary. Just 2 minutes later, everything changed. The plane's transponder, the device that broadcasts its identity and altitude to civilian air traffic control, was manually switched off. This wasn't a sudden mechanical failure. An electrical short would have caused a cascade of system shutdowns. This was a specific, targeted action. Someone in that cockpit, likely one of the two pilots, knew exactly which circuit breaker to pull to make a 200-foot-long passenger jet essentially invisible to the controllers on the ground. The plane vanished from their screens. What happened next is what makes this case so haunting. Instead of continuing north towards its destination in Beijing, the plane made a sharp, aggressive left turn, a maneuver so precise it had to have been controlled by a human hand, not an autopilot malfunction. It turned and flew straight back towards Malaysia. For days, the entire world believed the plane had crashed somewhere. In the South China Sea, search and rescue teams from dozens of countries scoured the waters, finding nothing, because they were looking in the wrong ocean. Days into the search, a new, shocking piece of information emerged from a source few people even knew existed. Military radar. Unlike civilian radar, which relies on the plane's transponder, military primary radar works like a flashlight in the dark, bouncing signals off any object in the sky. It had tracked an unidentified aircraft flying a path that was impossible to ignore. The track showed the plane flying back over the Malaysian peninsula, weaving between Indonesian and Malaysian airspace before making another deliberate turn, this time towards the vast, empty expanse of the southern Indian Ocean. The unidentified aircraft was, without a doubt, MH370. But this is where the mystery deepens, and the new evidence completely rewrites the narrative. Even with its main communication systems off, the plane had a satellite data unit that automatically tried to connect to a Connectivue ORK owned by a British company called for 6 agonizing hours after it vanished from radar. The plane's system continued to send out hourly pings, simple, automated handshakes with a satellite orbiting high above the Indian Ocean. These pings contained no data about location or speed, but they proved one terrifying fact. MH370 wasn't on the bottom of the South China Sea. It wasn't crashing, it was cruising. A zombie flight, flying for hours on autopilot, heading into oblivion. These pings allowed investigators to draw a massive arc on the map. 7th arc, representing all the possible locations the plane could have been when it sent its final signal. This arc stretched for thousands of miles through some of the deepest, most remote, and treacherous waters on the planet. The search had moved to the right ocean, but the area was still unimaginably vast. The crucial question became, why? Why would a veteran pilot with an impeccable record, a loving family, and no known issues fly a plane full of people into the middle of nowhere? The search for answers turned to the man in the captain's seat, Zahari Ahmad Shah. When the FBI helped Malaysian authorities recover deleted data from Captain Zahari's sophisticated home flight simulator, they found something that sent a chill down everyone's spine. Just weeks before the disappearance, he had practiced a flight path that was eerily similar to the one MH370 is believed to have taken. This simulated flight took a Boeing 777 on a long journey deep into the southern Indian Ocean, ending at a point where the fuel would have run out. It wasn't a sudden hijacking or a moment of madness. It appeared to be a rehearsal. But if this was a deliberate act by the pilot, what about the 239 souls in the cabin behind him? Why didn't they fight back? Why were there no panicked phone calls, no final text messages to loved ones? In the age of constant connectivity, their silence is one of the most disturbing parts of the puzzle. The leading theory, supported by aviation experts and investigators, is as horrifying as it is plausible: a deliberate, slow-motion cabin depressurization. Early in the flight, after turning back over Malaysia, the pilot could have caused the plane to lose cabin pressure. At an altitude of 35,000 feet or higher, the effect would be swift and silent. Without supplemental oxygen, a condition known as hypoxia would set in. Within minutes, perhaps even seconds, passengers and crew would have become disoriented, then unconscious. They would have likely passed away peacefully in their sleep, completely unaware of their fate, while the man in the cockpit, utilizing his own separate, long-lasting emergency oxygen supply, was flying their tomb towards the end of the world. For over a year, the ocean kept its secret. Then, in July 2015, on Reunion Island, thousands of miles from the search area, the sea finally gave something back. A piece of an aircraft wing, a component known as a flaperon, washed ashore. Serial numbers confirmed it belonged to MH370. It was the first, and for a long time, the only piece of physical evidence found. French investigators, who have jurisdiction because Reunion is a French territory, analyzed the damage and found something disturbing. The way the flaperon was damaged suggested it was in an extended position at the moment of impact, a position used for landing or low-speed flight. This implies that even at the very end, after 7.5 hours of flight, when the engines finally flamed out from fuel starvation, someone might have still been conscious. Someone might have been gripping the controls, attempting to glide the massive, powerless aircraft into the waves for a controlled water landing, perhaps to minimize the debris field and ensure the plane sank whole, forever hiding its secrets. Despite the most expensive and extensive search in aviation history, covering tens of thousands of square miles of the ocean floor with a fleet of high-tech submersibles, the main wreckage of MH370 has never been found. It lies somewhere along that seventh arc, in a dark, cold abyss 2.5 miles deep. The official search was called off in 2017, but the quest for answers continues. We have a timeline, we have a flight path. We have a motive that points to a meticulously planned mass murder-suicide. We know how it vanished. We know where it went. But the one question that still echoes in the silence, the question that haunts the families of the 239 people on board, is the one we may never be able to answer. Why? Thank you for watching. If you found this story as compelling as we do, please consider subscribing for more deep dives into history's greatest mysteries.